Here is the promised Draven mid lane video, as you've seen on our tier list, being a very highly rated pick for the other tier, and many of you said if you play against an Akali or an Aurelia you'll suffer. But you see here rank 1 Draven on the Chinese server playing this lovely pick into the Akali in the middle lane. So what are we observing here? Rather than just mindlessly shoving in the wave, he's trying to move forward and bullies the enemy. In case you don't understand what he's doing right now, he's trying to make the Akali to commit to a mistake, and it works out. He wanted her to walk forward to hit the minion wave, and he can just waltz up and do whatever he wants. The Akali can never ever win a trade. It is simply not possible. And now the Grace comes by level 2 after 2 camps, wasting his time. And not only this, he basically tells the enemy jungler, like the Diana in this case, or the Diana, that it's not possible that he is invading her as of this moment. And keep in mind, he's just level 2. Now he's stacking up the wave for a free wave dive. And Diana should be coming here on this next wave to dive this Akali player. This is one of the freest angles ever possibly perceived, and you can reproduce this into basically any matchup mid lane that is a melee champion. Right now you'll probably see him walking up to completely destroy her, and now imagine somebody was here, and now he uses this mid lane priority to rotate to the scuttle fight, where the Graves will have no chance and has to run away. The issue, however, with this play is the Diana could have gotten so much more with the mid lane dive, denying the enemy some more gold, and get even more XP from the kill. However, she chose not to do so because she valued the scuttle crab even more. And right now you see that the Diana chose to just use so much of her time to get this kind of camp. And in the top part, you see that they're voice chatting so much. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is pre-made queue, right? Like, if somebody is on a Chinese server that can actually tell me what's going on with the voices up there, I believe they're all in pre-made queue. And I think the Diana just did something very bad. She shoved the wave for no reason when the wave could have been held in place for longer, pushing into the Draven easier without any risk involved. And now it's just a weird stalemate, because the Akali will be allowed to stay in EXP range and get EXP from dying minions. But still, there's a massive level lead. The Akali could not have done anything. He will just cancel, try to cancel, it doesn't work, so he just pushes the wave, goes for probably one plating and the fruit. No, he doesn't even go for plating, he instantly goes for the fight, sees the fight, he has so many stacks. Securing this kill is very important. He needs to get this kill. And he just cashed in 380 plus 300 gold, and if he gets another kill, he will be beyond rich. And he gets the kill. He has a completed Bloodthirster in the base, and he can even choose to go for a Duskblade Rush if he truly wants to. And you see, he doesn't waste his time going for these minions because he wants to farm his midwave and he wants to deny the enemy's Akali's access to platings, which is very concerning that the Akali didn't take at least one plating for free while the Draven was visible on the map. Because now the Akali just took away one ward, which doesn't really do anything for her, considering the wave state. And now he has a fully completed BT, but interestingly, this seems to be the old Bloodthirster. So that's kind of interesting, so I guess this is an old replay, but theoretically speaking, this makes it even more powerful if you think about the fact that the old BT had a lot less damage. With the old BT, you had 55 AD plus the shielding. With the new BT, you had even more damage. So every single time you see a kill and see high damage numbers, with the new Bloodthirst, there would have been even more. But it's kind of sad that it was basically a newly uploaded video, and then, well, it's the old Bloodthirster. But that doesn't really change anything to the fact how this is being played. You saw the beautiful wave setup early on, and this is something you can reproduce every single time, and you should do so. And in a fight on Draven, it gestures only one way, and it's going forward. He flashes in his third ability, gets another kill, a very key mechanic on the Draven, and he just gets so much gold. Like, there's an entire fiesta in the mid lane, and there's just not a single break anyone can catch. But one of the things I really dislike the most is when people share platings through like 3 ways. Like, even 2 ways sharing them feels bad most of the time, but just generally. And here he kills the Scuttler for the gold, but also the mana. And yet again, he is very rich, he's completely dominating this game. As long as he doesn't get hooked, he'll be fine. Thanks to the mana of the Scuttle Crab, he can play the game. But one of the biggest issues in this scenario here is that he just barely sees anything. Like, what I'm so gotten used to on AD carries, or just people I've seen, is their camera panning during fights. Obviously, with a phone, it's so much more difficult than with an iPad or just a tablet, because I speak from experience. Like, I'm playing on an iPad. It is so much easier for me because of the space I have available to just drag my cam with my index finger on my left hand, compared to somebody who plays on a phone. There's simply little space available. As you see, the mid lane already taken down. Now it's another tower to be taken down on the top side of the map, and one of you, or a few of you, might ask themselves, why is he going top? Nautilus is an easy to catch target here. He doesn't have any wave clear unless he walks into the wave, which then allows the Draven to kill him, and therefore makes him a very easy target. Not only this, the Herald is also located up here, and due to the heavy gold lead they have, they obviously want to take this away as well. The Graves also visibly used his ultimate here, and rather than sharing the entire gold with his team up there in the Baron lane right now, he goes back to mid lane, collects the mid lane wave, denies the enemy any play here, and now rotates to the bot lane, trying to encourage his teammates to go for an active play, to start a fight, and bait something. Now with the play happening in the Baron lane, somebody needs to rotate to mid lane soon, so the wave isn't lost. And meanwhile this is happening, there's just a fight down here. The Blitzcrank actually hits the Kai'Sa, and they get nearly instantly popped. And with the Draven being as ahead as he is, there's just not much people can do about this champion. Like, one of the only things you can do about this champion is have champions that provide so much CC or range damage that he can't do anything, that he can't reach. But now, like, the Akali is the Akali champion still, right? But he has so much damage, he just one-taps them. And that is one of the biggest issues with Draven mid lane. Once this champion is snowballing, he will one-tap you on cooldown. And there's just not anything you can do about this rather than just overwhelm him with numbers. If you see a situation in which he gets to freely hit the enemy champions, you will quickly notice how much damage he does. And yeah, you might say he's fed, but that is the entire purpose of a Draven mid lane. You stomp the enemy laner because he cannot lane into you, because nobody can lane into Draven in a 1v1 scenario. And then you use the wallet you gain to slap them with items, and since you have accelerated gold gain thanks to your passive, you roll over them. And again, like, you know my take on Collector. I know you know, and you know I know, and we both know, and we all know I hate this item. I really think it's a really bad item. And if you, for example, went for any other damage item, unless the item was bought simply due to the fact that you had a perfect spike in the sense of gold, it is just a wasted item. Like, the 4088 grants is just so much less compared to, for example, an Infinity Edge, and the Infinity Edge has a crit multiplier on top that just doesn't do anything for you. And just generally, like, when you play Draven mid, you really want to keep pushing forward. You do not want to be on the backline. Like, your champion wants to completely run the enemy down. You want to force fights because you are strong. Like, you're a champion that loves fighting. You love chaos. You love just getting these isolated, brief moments of trading where you can hit somebody for 600 damage at minute 9. Like, if you see how much damage, he just a 50-70 crit onto the Kai'Sa's forehead. And whenever you see Draven, the biggest takeaway, what you have to learn when you play Draven, is understand where your axes will fly to. Once you understand this, your movement with this champion gets so much better. And there's something many people underestimate, unless we need to talk about this Akali first. She walks in, gets in, executes the Ezreal. Now the Draven is focusing the enemy backline as good as he can, and then instantly runs away. Now gets flash flayed, escapes with a sliver of HP, and then gets sadly popped. Like, now they have overstayed their welcome, and this is one of the biggest issue. As a Draven, you gain so much gold that you turn into a very big shutdown very fast. Like, I think I just saw 12,600 gold at 10 minutes, 10:30. So with all this gold, you turn into a big shutdown. And if you die, and depending on who gets the kill, you get into big trouble. The reason is the following, like your champion is designed to be ahead, and if you get a big bounty, a champion that is a scaling champion, and that just gets to cash into 1k, can be very, very problematic for you. But in this game, as long as you have a front line and understand that the only way you can realistically die is getting Akali hit by the Akali's E and ultimate after, and Donata's ult, you'll be fine. Like, as long as you don't get hit by these skill shots, which shouldn't be a problem unless you walk in front, or nobody walks in front of you, life is easy. Nautilus ults, but he's alone, nothing is happening. Now he hits a multi-man ultimate, his team is collapsing on them, and now all he has to do is play backline, and he even went for the absolute Big D energy proto belt. Like, the man has no fear. Like, he is legit super cocky, and he just was away from death, like an inch away from death again. Like, he really doesn't care. So what I'm really hoping for is to see a Chinese Draven gameplay, like a Chinese top 1 Draven gameplay of the recent patch very soon. And you just see how much damage he does. And obviously you see the 9999, which, well, since I'm German is quite funny if I say so. But yeah, again, other items would deal more damage, and even if you're snowballing, it's actually harmful for your snowball to buy Collector because you deal less damage, which sounds very dumb. It really sounds dumb. So unless the item is an immediate spike and you need the biggest spike possible for a play, there's just nothing you gain. Because if we're talking about rushing Bloodthirster, and then your second item is usually Infinity Edge, then obviously you will go for Infinity Edge, because 50 more AD and the higher crit multiplier. But depending on the gold value you have, you might go into Collector. But again, I wouldn't recommend it ever, and then you can just go into other items which will provide you with even more. Like a percentage armor pen item, since you're dealing such high numbers, will empower your damage even more. And depending on the functionality of your champion, going for a magnetic cannon, which I believe at this point wasn't in the game, is even more powerful. Like, it's really, really helpful to just make yourself familiar. And right here we see, like, it's just amazing to see from my perspective, that even on this patch, where Bloodthirster was a weaker item in sense of damage, he did so much damage with it. And here we also see the value of Protect as well and the old Bloodthirster in unison, where he just gets so much shielding, and for some reason, nobody walks in front of him, so you can just freely walk up. This is a very big grief. Like, you see there's 5 people goofing around as if it's like AI. Rather than just standing in front of him, allowing him to freely attack the tower, because the damage dealt to the Blitzcrank, who just has to stand there with the soak available, is not relevant compared to the Draven taking damage. If the Draven takes damage, then he cannot play because he is always at risk of getting one-shot. If the Draven is full life, he can always turn around. There's also something which this is the perfect example for, is that the old BT in the later stages of the game was way better than the newly overbuffed BT. The reason is, as an AD carry, your biggest issue is dealing with burst damage, right? If you're drawn out into a fight, oh, beautiful hook. Beautiful hook. And the Nautilus knows that he has to instantly ult the Draven, and now we target the Kaiser, getting a multi-ultimate, and now he gets the battery warning in the midst of a team fight, but he's just fast enough to just tap it away and go to collect all the kills. So what was my point? Oh yeah, why the ult BT was better. The ult BT was better because the shielding, and the shielding was better because of this reason. As an AD carry, if you go into a fight, it is just, let me pause this right here, before we get like completely blown out into YouTube thing. The ult BT was better in late game because it granted you a shield, and the shield granted you more tankiness. Now on top of this, you were able to take a rune called like Overgrowth, and therefore gain even more HP. Then in certain scenarios, you could also go for Starex and therefore inflate your HP count very high. And the AD carry's biggest issue is usually burst. If you put an AD carry into a scenario where you need to deal DPS, like damage per second, like a damage check, an AD carry will outperform any other class in the game. With this in mind, you have to think about the following. If it doesn't kill you fast enough, do you kill it faster? And if you deal more damage than the target deals to you, you will eventually win. So for example, if you gain, like item constellations grant you 15% more damage, but another item constellation grants you 50% more maximum HP, but you lose these 15% damage. So then you have to just take a look if these 50% more HP will allow you to play different and therefore deal more damage because the window in which you deal damage is extended. So let's say you deal, just a random number, 200 DPS. With the other build, you deal 250 DPS. But on the one build, you're only allowed to deal damage for 3 seconds, but the other build allows you to deal damage for 10 seconds. I know just very extreme numbers, but just for an example. Then the damage build, then the build with the less damage will actually deal more damage. And this is the entire concept why Ruby Crystal got into the Baron lane so early on in this game. And it's something you have to always keep in mind, especially playing support and any other role. And that's it for today's video. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel and come back for more RiftGuides content.